I'm doing 2 for 1 today because I missed one yesterday and I made the commitment. I said that I wanted to do one video per day. And yesterday I didn't do one. I was exhausted. I drove from New York back to Philly. I had gone to Long Island. I drove from Putnam Valley to Long Island. I did that with no GPS. I drove from Long Island to the Airbnb where I'm staying, no GPS. Guess what? One of the things that I'm learning is the need for adjustments. Sometimes you have the expectation, because the thing is, I knew I had to be back today to return the Turo vehicle that I had borrowed. And it's a car rental. And today was the day, because I knew that I was going to Putnam Valley on the 1st because I wanted to get up there to get my driver's license renewed and go to the DMV and come back to Philly. But there was some glitches. There was some salt in essence that was thrown into the game. There were different things that I was facing. I won't mention right now. A lot of times what I've discovered that I do is when I'm in the midst of a challenge, when I'm in the midst of a trial, I don't like to talk about it too much. I like to get through it first and then do a debriefing after the fact. Because for me, it's important what I say when I'm in the midst of trials and challenges. So a lot of times I go inside myself and I don't say a lot about what I'm facing when I'm in the midst of challenging situations and circumstances. And that was the case for me yesterday. It was challenging. It was I had to think on my feet. I and the grace of God is so profound. I went to from Putnam Valley. I experienced a bit of a jolt in my plans, so I had to make an adjustment. And then, like I said, I had to think on my feet. I had to keep pushing. And one of the things that I realized that in these days to come, what I'm experiencing is helpful to me because it catapults me into action. And then when I go into action, I build momentum. And then also I get direction, right? And then on top of that, I get provision because there's absolutely no way that I could have known what God had for me on my journey. But God knew, and He knew just what I needed to keep me going on my journey. So I said all of that to say, when you're in the midst of life, and this is what I feel like I'm in the midst of at this particular time, I'm lifing. Life is lifing, and I'm lifing. And so one of the things that I'm grabbing hold of is life and life more abundantly. It's taking life and realizing that there are answers and there are solutions, and that I'm walking with God and God is walking with me, and that no matter what the situation, there is direction that I can be assured of from God. And I know that I don't walk alone. And I know that God has me and He's covering me. And I believe that in this year and in the coming years and in the coming decades, should Jesus tarry, God is going to show Himself to be abundantly on my side in many ways, and it will be obvious by my life. And so I said all of that to say, when you're in the midst of challenging situations, there's a solution. Don't give up. Just maintain your composure. Be poised. Get a hold of your emotions. Don't be frazzled. Don't get shook. And tap in so you can understand next steps. Sometimes in the interim, in the moment, it's not neat for you to take steps. Sometimes you need to stand still and take stock, right? And see where things are. Then you can make a determination as to what you should do next. So that's the gem I'm going to drop for today. For this particular post. Adjustments. Make adjustments when you find yourself in the midst of challenging situations. And don't be afraid to make moves, even though you don't necessarily go your customary way. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be tapped in so God can guide you, because that's what happened. And you do need a sense of direction. You have to have in your mind, you have to make a determination where you're going. Not necessarily how you're going to go, but you should be headed in a particular direction. No directions. No directions, north, south, east, and west. And to that, I credit Dad for giving me an understanding, first of the East, him having been a Boy Scout. The East, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And then you can figure out everything from there. And usually that's my guidepost. The sun, the east, the opposite, the west, and then north and south from there. And knowing spatially where things are. Like when I'm going to New York from Philly, I'm going north. When I'm going to Long Island from Philly, I'm going east. So directionally knowing where things are on the map. So that's knowing geography. That's very important. So I say all of that to say, for this post, I will say adjust. Be ready to make adjustments as you go forth when you're in the midst of challenging circumstances. Don't be afraid to make moves. Don't be afraid to stand still until you have clarity as to what your next steps and what your next moves are going to be. And there's this thing that I have learned in some of the recent teachings that I've been taking in, and it has to do with making moves, taking action. So take action, assess, and adjust. So it's becoming more and more simple to make moves. And I've been a move maker in the past, but a lot of times people harp on the word intentionality. My word more so is along the lines of deliberate, being deliberate and having a sense of deliberateness, having key targets and hitting my points, but also being very deliberate. Again, this is Evergreen Gene, encouraging you when necessary to adjust. And don't be afraid to make moves. One of the things that's going to happen, what's going to happen if the internet is off, if the cyber grid is knocked out? How are people going to move around and get around? Will people know where to go without the GPS? Will people know what to do without their phones? How are we going to manage? Me personally, I'm stocking up. I'm setting up so that over the next few years, I'll be in a great position to be able to do things in a way that will enable me to have freedom across the board. Financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. I have time freedom, I have location freedom, and I'm working on the financial piece. And a new component has been added to the puzzle. More to come. You'll see more visibly as I go forth and do what it is that I'll be doing in the days and weeks to come. I met a guy when I was at Ruby Cajun's seafood restaurant, and he was talking. He was talking to his brother, and I got his card because I could tell by his conversation that he knew what he was talking about. I hopped in my Uber. I had gotten his cards. When I came after I ate some of my seafood, I was listening to Chris Garcia, get my praise and worship on. And after a while, it was like God prompted me to call the young man, Khalil Muhammad. And he's into some of the things, and has been for a while, that God is going to have me to do and excel in. He has his own construction company. He has his own credit repair company, financial services, and he has his own, it's three of them. His credit repair, let me look. Credit repair, refinance, financial construction, and yeah, credit repair. Redco Financial, Just Being Me Construction, and Point Shown Enterprises, or property management, I believe it is, or yeah, property management. So this is Evergreen Gene encouraging you to make adjustments and be good with that, and have clear direction, and have a sense of direction. And 2024 is a really pivotal year. Everybody is on the new kick because it's a new year, but it will prove to be so because of other reasons as well. 2024, the significance of 24. I think I'll look into that at some point throughout the course of this next few days. Talk soon. Evergreen Gene, on the move, and I'm out.